Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome. If you're new, thank you so much for your patronage. It really means a lot to me. And if you would like this video, it would help a lot. If you're new to this channel, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like, and I hope you subscribe. Today, I'll be talking about our path to religion and settling down. Not much else I need to say before we get on with the video, so let's go. Speaking of subscribing, while it is on your mind, if you're new, why don't you go down, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any episodes. As the agricultural revolution progressed, people began settling next to their fields, and extended families clustered together and grew into villages between 11,000 and 10,000 years ago. This permanent settlement was new in human history. People exchanged ideas about such things as artificial selection and honoring the dead ancestors. During the early phases of the agricultural revolution, people would bury their loved ones under their own floorboards. At times, the dead were even buried first, and the house was built on top of the dead loved ones. It wasn't until later in that revolution that the first cemeteries adjacent to the town developed. In the early to middle part of the agricultural revolution, people often exhumed their dead loved ones weeks to months after burial to remove the skulls, which were displayed either in the family home or common areas of the village. Like villages, this was a new development. Some skulls were painted, while seashells served as eyes. Others were plastered, sometimes stylized, supposedly to resemble the person in life. No less than 90 of these have been found throughout South Asia, dating from 10,000 to 8,500 years ago. The first plastered skull was found at Jericho, but such skulls have a wide distribution in Southwest Asia during this time, leading archaeologists to label these as skull cults. These skulls were not only decorated, but also handled by people very much. This has been cited as evidence of ancestor worship. It is thought that people of the skull cults believed that death marked not the end of existence, but the beginning of a new way of life for loved ones to interact with the living. In the context, it is quite conceivable that a skull placed in a house would be considered the literal head of the household. Also in this area, we find statues and masks dating to the end of the agricultural revolution. While we are not sure what these mean, some suggest they were ancestral pictures or portraits. Most agree that these statues and masks represent ancestor veneration. Archaeologists have found a village in Israel dating to between 9,250 to 8,000 years ago, which curiously has no evidence suggesting that people lived there. Instead, experts believe it served as a regional funerary and cult center. Catalhoyuk dates from 9,000 to 8,000 years ago and testifies to the spirituality of its inhabitants, who engaged in agriculture and farming. They used obsidian, a volcanic glass, to make tools and weapons, and traded raw obsidian with other cities to obtain other needed raw materials. As in most cultures at this time, we can see the preoccupation of these people with death. Most burials in the village at this time were found under the floors of the houses, with each house averaging 8 burials, but ranging from 0 to 64 burials. Most skeletons have been found intact with grave goods. Men's grave goods include weapons like mace heads and axes, while women's grave goods include jewelry. The most unusual of the grave goods being an obsidian mirror, the first mirror ever found to this date. Also in Catalhoyuk, archaeologists have found 40 shrines that include cattle skulls and wall paintings, with the major theme of the paintings being death. Bulls and females are also a constant theme. Since these shrines are found throughout the village, archaeologists refer to them as quote unquote kinship cult centers for ancestor worship. We extrapolate from current ancestor worship cultures to reconstruct what may have happened in these dead cultures. In doing so, we think they were asking the ancestors for good harvests and fertility of both livestock and women, as well as protection against natural disasters, diseases, and death. The answer seems to be yes. In China, on the floodplain of the Yellow River, we find headless bodies in graves that are 9,000 years old, which coincides, coincidentally, with the independent agricultural revolution that was happening in China. These heads were carefully removed. In other cultures, we find grave goods associated with graves that coincide with the agricultural revolution within those cultures. However, we cannot say for sure whether these grave goods are necessarily an indicator of ancestor worship. Using the more restrictive sense of gods as male or female deities, we estimate that these emerged between 8,000 and 7,000 years ago, though it is possible that they showed up a bit earlier. Two things needed to happen before this. First, a spirit needed to become powerful. Second, a critical number of people had to come together. Let's look at how this may have happened. One ancestor may have been an excellent farmer whom his descendants prayed and made offerings to for a better harvest. Over time, the spirit became more powerful if good harvests followed. Nature spirits could have followed the same exact path. In anthropological terms, primitive is not a pejorative term. Primitive just means early, or in this case, when I'm talking about present day primitive societies, it just means societies that are not in the uh, developed world. In present-day primitive societies, we often find a continuum between spirits and deities. For example, spirits of parents and grandparents may be at one end, more powerful spirits of several generations ago may be in the middle, and the most powerful spirit would be the founder of the tribe. So now we get to deities. Let's talk about them. Deities can be anthropomorphized personal deities for a specific group, all the way to gods who created the world but don't interact with it. Otherwise, more like a deistic god. As one moves from spirit to deity, the being acquires more supernatural powers. One of the weird things about this continuum is that the division between the most powerful spirits and the least powerful deities is really fuzzy. Indigenous people living in the highlands of New Guinea gave anthropologists a chance to study a society with plenty of spirits but no gods. Modern humans had settled these mountain valleys about 40,000 years ago, but these groups were unknown to outsiders until Australians came looking for gold in the 1930s. These Australians found tribes of effectively Stone Age people who had a well developed belief system. After this, anthropologists came to record these people's beliefs before the first outside contact. As it turned out, all these people believed that the Australians were the returning ancestral spirits. Well, friends, that's it for today. If you like this kind of content, gently hit the like button, press the subscribe button. Or if you want to dislike this video, you can dislike it. I don't care. And leave a comment for me. Good or bad. I read them all. And I will catch you later. If you want to know when I come out with new content, ring that bell next to the subscribe button. All social media links are in the description, as well as the source that I used for this video. Please consider becoming a member. I have various levels of membership. Every penny will help to make this channel a little better. So if you would like that, please consider becoming a member. You can do so for as little as 99 cents a month. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Again, leave a like or dislike and leave a comment. Much appreciated. This video was made with the help of people like Lisa Irwin. The super chats also help, so thank you for that.